So what was that aha moment that made you start KR3?
It wasn't even an aha moment. It was a very sad moment.
Uh-oh.
Sad.
Yeah, back in 2020, I was going through a lot. I had just broken up with me and my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, separated at the time. Also, I was working a job full-time, had a part-time job as well.
Okay.
Had my own apartment. And this agency called me and was like, hey, we want you to, work with us. They were actually recruiting my nephew, my sister's oldest son, to try to come sign with the agency. So the first person that they called was me because they knew I was the closest one to him outside of his parents. So they called me. They was like, man, what can we do to get Tashawn, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know what you can do, but he makes his own decisions along with his parents. I can give him advice, but that's about it. Like I don't make his decision. I don't tell him what to do. Like none of that. So then they heard about all the people that I knew as far as like college players and high school players, and it was like, you have a good following, like a lot of people. Maybe you can come help us out. I was like, all right, cool.
Right.
So summertime comes along, and like I said, I had just broken up with my ex, and they called me. They were like, we want you to go to Vegas for 2 months. I'm like, okay, cool. So now I have to quit my job because I can't take a leave of absence for
2 months.
Yeah, it's too
So
long.
now I have to quit my job, and I, like I said, I have my apartment, and I still has money to pay for my apartment. I get out there. Now, mind you, this was probably not smart on my behalf by not signing any paperwork or contracts or anything like that.
Oh, that's a big mistake.
Yeah, so I get out there and they didn't pay me anything while I was there.
For 2 months?
For the whole 2 months I was there.
How were you surviving?
Chick-fil-A points.
Oh,
Wow.
I had a lot. I had a ton of Chick-fil-A points that I could, go to Chick-fil-A and
get food.
Food for free, basically. But then also the gym that we were at, Impact Basketball, that's in Vegas. I got really close with the people there, so they kind of like gave the guys meal, but then they would give me, a meal as well.
Meal too.
So
Okay.
so they threw that in there. But yeah, like I was racking up my credit card. My credit card maxed out to $3,000.
Sheesh.
I was behind on my
Bills?
apartment bills,
Yeah.
all the other bills that I had. So by the time I came home, I was like $5,000 in the hole.
Oh, no.
So yeah,
Yeah, take a deep breath.
yeah,
That's taking you back to memory lane.
It was a lot, and then I had a rough at home life. So it was a lot. It was a lot going on, like a lot
Low.
going on. So
Yeah.
it was like there was a point where I had suicidal thoughts. I was just like, you know what, I don't even want to deal with any of this stuff anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So I called my aunt, who's a pastor. She was just telling me some stuff like, God doesn't make any mistakes. So as long as you
That's
keep,
true.
as long as you keep your trust in Him, and you'll find a way. So then I started doing pro runs. So I started having guys come in and play basketball, NBA guys overseas, and I just called it KR3. Just KR3 pro runs.
Okay.
But then I had like a bunch of people, telling me, man, you can do way more than what you're doing. I'm like, okay, what? Like, what can I do? Nobody really gave me any ideas or anything like that. Like, and that's another thing too. Like growing up, nobody ever
A blueprint.
did this. Nobody ever handed me anything. So I always had to figure out everything on my own. So when I started doing the pro runs, I started thinking broader. Like, what can I do with this? So that's when I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll start a management company. Management company. It's still in the works, but it's been a long process. Then I was like, well, maybe I can start a high school tournament. So I was like, what about Thanksgiving? So I started planning that out. So now it's just becoming this, I wouldn't even say global thing, but KR3 is definitely,
movement.
yeah, it's building more than I thought it would over these past 5 years.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's amazing. You don't look like what you've been through, honestly.
I
Yeah.
try not to show it, just because I tend to show it for a lot of people, and I have to show it for a lot of people.
Right.
But I do take the time out to really like hone in on myself at times. Is
Yeah.
like there's times where I'll be driving in the car crying and just, I don't even know why. I actually
yeah.
listening to a song like
Yeah, me too.
I
Yeah, memory lanes.
because I listen to the first 30 minutes to an hour. I listen to gospel music like 30 minutes to an hour every day. So I can be listening to a song and it just brings me back to whatever happened.
Right.
So yeah, it wasn't like I said, it wasn't a aha moment. It was like
A want moment.
yeah, exactly. I got to figure out something. I need to do something. So
Something got to work.
yeah, something got to give.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned the Thanksgiving event. That's yearly, right?
Yes, I had my
Gotcha.
first one last year.
Hey, congrats.
Yeah,
Okay, let's clap it up for that.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Just finished getting all the teams together for this year's event last week. So now it's the process of finding hotels for a couple of the teams that's coming from
Okay.
out of town. Sponsorships. So if anybody wants to sponsor the KR3 Mental Health and Sports Thanksgiving Invitational, come on.